Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
I wonder if she's in the greenhouse. Claire went to the greenhouse and heard sounds of conversation coming from one of the rooms, so she approached it. Ruka and Ron were inside the room. She was feeling better after that little counseling session Rin gave her. They were sitting face to face. Claire looked in and heaved a sigh of relief. I finally found her. So she was meeting Ran. Just when she was about to call out to her daughter, Ruka spread her arms and hugged Ran. She even stood on tiptoes and kissed his cheek. Claire's eyes went wide with shock. What is she doing? She can't do that to Rin. She couldn't see the look on Ren's face, since his back was turned to her. However, she did see how impertinent Ruka was, and then the girl actually smiled shyly. Rin said, I think we should head back now. Sure. Ruka nodded. Claire thought her heart would burst from her chest. She quickly went to the garden in case Ruka and Rin found out she was eavesdropping, even though she didn't mean to eavesdrop. Claire was trying to cool down with the breeze, but to no avail. I can't believe she just kissed Rin. She felt like she didn't know her daughter. What Ruka did just crossed all the boundaries she set for Ruka ever since Ruka was a child. How did this happen? Where did I go wrong? She can't kiss her own elder. Her chest was heaving. Ruka's gone too far, but I guess it's my fault. Every mother had great expectations for their children, including Claire. She didn't need Ruka to be successful or anything, but at least she had to be an upright lady. That is not how we raised you, Ruka. Claire felt like she could cry. At the same time, Ruka and Ran had come back to the dining room, but she was still too nervous to go inside. She said, I'll need to use the bathroom. Rin knew she was still anxious, so he went inside without her. The moment he took his seat, Sophie looked at him sheepishly. Ren ignored her. He had decided to make it clear that he wasn't dating Sophie. He didn't want his parents to keep misunderstanding them. Sophie shot Ruka a jealous look when she came back. Ruka took her seat, and to her surprise, she didn't see her mother. Where did she go? The dinner got a little glum since everyone, apart from Walter, Robert and Harold, was weighed down by their own thoughts. They were having a good time drinking and didn't get weighed down by anything, maybe except for the booze. Ruka was halfway through her meal when Claire came back. She was looking happy a while ago, but now it was obvious she was troubled. Ruka noticed that, of course. She looked at her, and Claire turned around to meet her gaze as well. She heaved a big sigh. Finish your food. We're going home soon. Ruka was surprised. We're going home after this? They were almost done with their meal after a while. Charlotte invited everyone for tea, but Claire was already saying goodbye. Scarlett wanted them to stay, but Claire insisted on leaving. We really have to go, Scarlett. Thanks for inviting us. She dragged her tipsy husband out. Ren knew they were leaving, so he came over and said, Mr. Singed is drunk. I'll get someone to take you home. Claire quickly said, It's all right, Vice President. Ruka will drive. We'll go slow. Ruka looked at Ron. She was reluctant to leave, but her parents insisted, so she couldn't stay. I'll be going home then. Drive safely. Text me when you get home, he whispered. Sure. Ruka nodded. Sophie was standing in a corner, pretending to make a call. She was delighted to see Ruka and her family leave. Once she leaves, I'll get the chance to approach Ren. After they got in the car, Robert complained, What's the rush? I wanted to have a few more pints with Walter. Shut it. We're going home. Claire was looking upset, and her temper was getting short. Ruka got into the driver's seat. She adjusted the seat until she was comfortable in it, then she revved the car up. Claire was in the back seat. She stared at her daughter, and she teared up angrily. The lady looked outside, her chest feeling stuffy. She thought her daughter was corrupted. Ruka drove ahead. She was feeling a bit nervous too. Her mother would usually love to chat with her, but aside from her father mumbling in his drunken stupor, nobody said anything. Even if her mother did speak up, it was to chide Robert. Well, this is depressing. Finally, she asked, "Are you all right, Mom?" "Just drive. We'll talk when we get home." Claire held her emotions back. She didn't want to start anything when her daughter was driving. Ruka looked in the rearview mirror. Claire was looking solemn and serious. Back at the Hassan residence, Angela was feeling bored because Ruka was gone and she had no one to talk to. She just came back to the living room after making a call, but Richard wasn't there. She asked the servant where he was. "Master Richard and the young master are in the study," she answered. Angela headed to the study, but she didn't go inside right away. Instead, she leaned her ear against the door to listen. Someone was talking inside, and it was Richard. He sounded surprised. "You're giving up the election?" That shocked Angela. She was holding the doorknob, and now she had opened the door slightly. Ren answered calmly, "Yes, I am." Richard gasped and asked, "Why? Why are you giving it up? Because of Ruka?" Angela almost leaped in shock. "God. Show more act, Richard." Ren narrowed his eyes in surprise. "And how did you know about that? Do you really like her?" he asked. Men were used to being straightforward. Ren headed to the French window. "Yes, I do," he answered, still as calm as ever. "That's why you're giving up? Because of her?" "Grandpa won't accept this, Uncle. And neither will my mother. And everyone who supports you. They're supporting you because they trust you. You're gonna let them down," Richard argued. He was quickly moving toward Ren. Angela was so engrossed by the conversation, she turned the doorknob without noticing, and the door opened. She let out a gasp and fell to the ground. Ow! Her knees hurt from the impact. Richard looked at her, and his heart skipped a beat. He quickly held her up. Angela blushed. "Sorry. I didn't mean to listen in." Ren turned around. She was a likable woman, and he thought well of her because of what she did for Ruka back at dinner. "Are you hurt?" Richard took her to the couch and crouched down to check on her. "No. I'm fine. I don't think I should be here." She stood up and limped toward the door. "You gentlemen go ahead. I'll go now." Richard said, "I'll take her to her room, Uncle." "Sure." Ren nodded. She must have hurt her knees. Richard carried her in his arms and left. Angela blamed herself for interrupting their conversation. She was worried Richard might scold her. "I'm sorry. Richard. It's not your fault," he said gently. He took her to a common room. Angela realized he was looking tense. Based on their conversation, she knew Ren's relationship with Ruka was a big deal. He's giving the election up for Ruka. It's unbelievable. However, Angela thought Ruka was lucky she had a man who loved her so much, he would make such a big sacrifice. "Are you worried about Ren?" Angela cupped his face. She was worried about Richard. Richard sighed. "I'm worried about Grandpa and Grandma. They expect big things from Uncle Ron. This might crush them." "Richard, do you love me? Would you give up your career for me?" she asked seriously, still holding his face. He answered without any hesitation, "Of course." "What would you do if I were to be kidnapped, and they want you in exchange for me?" Richard hugged her. For some reason, he was getting nervous. I'll kill them if they try to do anything to you. Oh, wow. Angela realized that she was as lucky as Ruka was. Both of them met gentlemen who would give up everything for them. She smiled. Now can you see why Uncle Run is giving the election up for her? Because he loves her, just like you love me. Richard was just too surprised by Ren's decision, but now Angela made things clear for him. He sighed. You're right. Angela looked at him. Richard was still frowning, and she pinched his brows. Don't fret over it. We'll help them if they need us. In the greenhouse, Charlotte was laughing at something Sophie said. Just then, a servant came in. Miss Liamson? Miss Scarlett would like to talk to you. Oh, sure. Sophie got up and said goodbye to Charlotte, then she went with the servant. Right after she was gone, Run came in and took the seat beside his mother. There's something I want to tell you, Mom. Charlotte took a sip of her tea. Really? Why did you have to wait until she's gone to bring that up? Oh, finally. He's bringing this up. Please stop inviting Miss Liamson over, Mom. I have someone I like, he said. Charlotte looked at him in surprise. Really? Who's the lady who caught your eye? I'll introduce her to you guys in time. Oh, he's finally bringing a girl home for dinner. Looks like the wedding's coming soon. She nodded. I'll be waiting then. I'll see to Miss Liamson in time. Ren nodded. Sure. I'll be going back then. I want to see her as soon as possible. It'd be best if you can have your own kid next year, Charlotte told Ren as he left the room. Sophie was going to see Scarlett, but she ran into Angela, who was also making her way to where Scarlett was to spend some time with her, in the corridor. Even before they talked, tension was already rising in the air. Stop wasting your time on Run, Miss Liamson. I heard what you told Ruka today. Back off if you know what's good for you, Angela warned. Sophie held her anger back. She tried to be as nice as she could, and she said, You took it the wrong way, Angela. It was for their own good. Yeah, they're not related by blood, but Ren's in a sensitive position. He can't afford to get hit by any scandals. The election is just around the corner. If someone finds out he's in love with his sister's goddaughter, it'd cause a whole stew of problems. We don't need any outsiders to tell us what to do. Mind your own business, Miss Liamson, Angela retorted. She knew Sophie's true colors, and it disgusted her. Oh, don't call me an outsider just yet. Someday, I might be your aunt, Sophie said confidently. The chances of that are slim. Angela left. Sophie's chest was heaving in anger. Another servant then came for her. Miss Liamson, Madam Charlotte is in the tea room. She wants to see you. Sophie quickly turned around. Trying to befriend anyone in this household was a waste of time. She would rather make Charlotte happy, since she was the one calling all the shots here. Charlotte was having tea in the tea room. She was looking really delighted. What Rin told her made her feel great relief, though she was a little unhappy that Rin didn't tell her soon. I wouldn't have asked Sophie over otherwise. Sophie came into the room and happily took the seat beside Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. The servant said you wanted to see me. Sophie. There you are. Here's a gift for you. It's been great talking to you. Do visit me often, all right? Charlotte gave her a gift while looking at Sophie affectionately. Sophie was a smart woman. The gift and what Charlotte said were bad signs. Her heart sank. So the blind date's over? She's giving me up? Why? Did Angela do something again? I can't take this, Charlotte. It's great enough that I get to talk to you. She pushed the gift back into Charlotte's hand while smiling. You're a nice girl, Sophie. I like you very much, but Rin told me that he has someone he likes now. I don't want you to waste your time on him anymore. You're a brilliant girl. You'll find a nice guy to marry. Sorry for taking up your time. Charlotte sounded apologetic. Sophie looked down. She was smiling, but her eyes were filled with disappointment. I see. So I didn't make the cut. Is this the end? All of a sudden, she realized something. She sneered quietly. He has someone he likes? She looked at Charlotte. Charlotte, may I know who's the lady he likes? Maybe I know her. Charlotte smiled at her, and she sighed. He's keeping her under wraps. Wonder what's the mystery? A hint of evil glinted in Sophie's eyes. He's not being mysterious. He's just too scared to tell you guys who he likes. Oh, so he's going to toss his future away and reveal his sordid relationship with Ruka, huh? He'd probably reveal it if he wasn't the vice president, but since he's still the VP, he needs to keep his image intact. There's something I really want to tell you, but it might upset you, Charlotte. Sophie bit her lip and acted like she was in a dilemma. What is it? Tell me, Charlotte asked curiously. She was in a good mood today. So I was looking for Run before lunch. She blinked innocently. The lady was still keeping up the act. I did find him. But I saw. What did you see? Charlotte's interest was piqued. I saw Ruka and Ren together in the study. I didn't see what they were doing inside, but they came out holding hands. Ruka was the one who held Ren's hand first, but that can't be real. I must have been seeing things. She can't be dating Ren. Scarlett's her godmother. Charlotte's cup fell and shattered into pieces. The old lady looked furious. She asked with a trembling voice, "What did you say? Are they dating?" Sophie looked horrified. She quickly shook her head. No, that's not what I said. I said I saw her holding Ren's hand. But I don't know if she's doing anything else. Unbelievable. Charlotte slammed the table. She was just going to get up, but then dizziness washed over her, and she slumped down onto the couch. Shocked, Sophie stood up. She shouted, "Charlotte fainted. Somebody come." Two servants made a quick dash into the room. One of them called the hospital, while the other summoned the family physician. Charlotte was deathly pale. The sight of it made Sophie gulp. Fear was finally kicking in. She had no idea what she said would make Charlotte faint, but then she realized that the lady was almost 80. Of course, telling her anything shocking would do a number on her. Scarlett came right away. Sophie quickly picked up her bag and tried to leave. Angela was hurrying over, so she bumped into her. She noticed the nervous look Sophie was giving her. Wait. She might have something to do with this. Angela grabbed her by the collar. What did you tell her? And nothing. Let me go. I have to go. She escaped Angela's grasp and left in a hurry. Angela heaved a sigh. Great. She must have told her about that. I can't believe an outsider broke the news to Charlotte first. Scarlett and Richard were right beside Charlotte. They massaged her temples and wrists, but she still didn't regain consciousness. Harold was asleep from drinking too much, so Scarlett told everyone not to wake him. The ambulance had arrived. Richard picked Charlotte up and quickly went into it. The ambulance quickly made for the hospital, while Richard and Angela were following it in a car. Scarlett picked her phone up and called Ren. What is it, Scarlett? Mom fainted. We're on our way to the hospital. What happened to her? I don't know. She just fainted. Probably got some shock. We're on our way to the hospital now. Don't worry. I'm just informing you about this. I'll be right there. Sure. You come too. Mom's not exactly young anymore. We need to be prepared for anything. Angela hesitated for a while, then she told Richard about how Sophie looked all nervous and left in a hurry. So you're saying Grandma fainted because she told her about that on purpose? He frowned. Anger was welling up in Richard. Probably. She hates it that Ren likes Ruka, and she just threatened Ruka in the afternoon. Not to mention she left in a real hurry. She must have something to do with this, she guessed. This is why Uncle Ren didn't tell them about this. They're too old to get another shock of their lives. That's also why he didn't tell anyone he's given up the election, because this might happen. But Ren loves his parents. What should they do now? He and Ruka are in for a rough ride. Angela sighed. She was worried for them as well. At the same time, Ruka and her parents had arrived home. Right after they went inside, Claire looked at Ruka solemnly. Ruka, come with me. Robert was a little tipsy. He lay down on the couch, still oblivious to the fact that his wife was looking a bit too solemn. Ruka went with her mother, and Claire closed the door. Ruka's heart skipped a beat. She looked at her mother nervously. The tension in the air was almost suffocating her. She was not used to seeing her gentle mother being this solemn. Are you trying to say something, Mom? Ruka asked. Claire wanted to say something, but she started crying angrily before she could. The emotions she held back finally broke out and her chest heaved.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.